YouTube? D-Star back again with another tutorial. This time we're going to talk about future house pianos / Don Diablo style piano drops and piano house. And here's the sound. I'm going to play it for you so you can hear what it sounds like. Much wow, sounds fat. Okay, cool, so let's get into it. This is a previous project that I've been working on. It's nothing, I deleted a lot of the other sections except for the piano, the kick and the bass, and the drums and effects, so there's nothing too crazy going on. That said, let's break it down. The reason I'm doing this guide is I know there's a lot of pianos out there, or a lot of guides out there that just slam this Nexus preset on, throw a couple little EQ, whatever, and that's cool, but they're missing a key layer of the piano, which I think makes this like 90s throwback sound, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. First, let's cover the Nexus part and the chords. For the chords, I'm not going to get into too much detail on doing chords. If you need to learn how to do chords, go open up a music theory thing, because that's honestly going to be a better bet. All I'm going to suggest here is play with the find the sound that you like, play with the space, what's the term for it? I'm sorry, not the intervals, play with the inversions. I'm sorry. Wow, I sound like an idiot. Play with the inversions. Drop your bass notes down an octave or two. Try to get the bass sound, the piano sounding full through the bass, and then we'll carve it out with the EQ later. Check it out. If I don't have these lower inversions or these lower root notes playing the bass, here's the Nexus layer, and then without them, I have the wrong clip highlighted. Sorry. Without them. They fill that whole bottom layer out. So make sure you're filling that layer out in your chords. And you can do that by just copying and pasting a top note and dropping, or your root note, and then dropping it down. In this case, we added a little bit of a change. It's not that it's all inversions, but try spreading out the keys. Throwing this up there. Whatever. That doesn't work. These are good the way they are, but just make sure you spread your chords out so that the notes you're playing fill out the entire spectrum. That said, the first layer of this is going to be Nexus, and I'm going to shut off my bus. We're going to get to that later. It's not as intense as you think. And we're going to shut this off so you hear this, the core layer. It's Nexus 2 pianos. If you don't have Nexus, I hate to say it. Normally I kind of clown Nexus a little bit, but it's really useful in some cases, and the pianos are a strong example of that. It's got great pianos. If you don't have Nexus, try True Pianos by Forefront, I believe is the plugin. Avicii uses a ton of those. And there's Alicia's keys, which people like, and Addictive keys are also suggestions that I've heard. But I use Nexus a lot for pianos. But you can find some, you can find something otherwise. You can find something elsewhere, but these are the ones that I think you're going to find in most of the future house songs that you know and love. You can't really do a whole lot with the pianos in here. Velocity on the MIDI notes definitely changes the sound a little bit. And the mix, and you can go in the mix tab, click layer up top, and you can get these little selections, and you can pitch up and down certain parts. You can solo them. In this case, I left it stock, but if you find a piano sound you like, one of the expansions, but it's got an annoying string in it or something like that, you can come in here and you can try to find out which one it is and mute it. I also come in here and I global off reverb, global off delay, because I don't need delay and all that stuff on my preset. I can do that later. There's nothing more annoying than delay run through like a distortion box in most cases. And my only change is dropping the sustain and dropping the decay here, and you can hear what that does. Cool, and it sounds like a piano. Whoop-de-doo, right? We're going to make it sound better in a minute, and that's that. So you can use that to kind of make sure that the notes don't hang too much, so you get that impact. And there's a little bit of, you want to do that towards the end after you do all your compression and everything. You can come back and tweak it a little, and you'll notice, you get it sitting in the pocket right when you tweak that. Next thing's next, EQ8, and this is a little boost and a little cut there, and we're cutting out the bass. And now you hear the bass is kind of gone. You're like, well, why'd you drop those notes so much? Well, it kind of still makes a difference, to be honest with you, because there's harmonics in those lower notes, and once you go through all your processing, it's going to really fill out the whole stage. That, and we're going to talk about the bass layer, which is also playing those root notes, and that's going to make it really fill out. And then last but not least, a little saturation, which is also a little bit of gain staging as well. So there's the first layer. And now the second layer is the layer I think everybody misses in these tutorials that I think is the money layer. And that's the Korg M1, which is like the Nexus of like 1991 or whatever it came out. I don't know, I'm not that old. And this sounds like this before the processing. And that's the 90s piano that you've heard in all these classic 90s hits. I think you've heard it in the bass of Show Me Love, bass line, Dreamer, bass line, All Masters at Work and all that kind of stuff. All those kind of style house guys from the 90s, that was the Nexus of their time. And the Korg M1 is not exactly as cool looking as Nexus, but the M1 house piano is the first preset under Program, Browser, Piano, M1 house piano, and that's your guy. A little bit less intuitive to adjust. I don't think I changed anything on here. The output is, it's kind of loud in this case because we're playing a lot of notes, and this is playing the same notes, by the way. But you could tweak that's the amp right here. You can kind of tweak the sustain or whatever the same way we had done in Nexus with this graph here. Maybe it's this one. That's actually the filter. But yeah, that's all tweakable. I didn't touch anything in here, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't normally. There is a filter on it, and the hall reverb's still on. It's just a touch. It doesn't bother me. But there's one thing about this piano that sucks, and it's in mono, believe it or not. More on that in a second. We EQ'd out the lows, and where exactly you EQ it is going to depend on what key your song's in. And then there's the stereo imager, which takes it from mono to awesome. And check it out before. Let me see if I can shut this off easily. Probably not. I don't know how to do that. It's over here, bypass. See, it's basically almost in mono. I think that little hall reverb spreads it a little. And after we're done spreading, turn stereo eyes on and spread the shit out of it. You don't have to use ozone. Just something to widen it. I like ozone. I think it phases the least, and it sounds pretty transparent. Not totally transparent. I spread the highs more because it also kind of gives it a nice effect, which sounds good once we're done with all this. Check it out. Sounds 90s, and that's going to layer awesome with this piano, which we have. And it's actually turned up louder than the other piano a little bit in my layers here. And the saturator brings it out. Add this layer in. Getting there. Pretty good, if you ask me. So let's get to the bus now. I bust these two together, group them together, whatever you want to call it. If you're a Logic guy, it's a bus. Same EQ thing here, and then a little glue compression. You can compress however you want. I did the highest attack, lowest release, 2-to-1 compression, and the threshold's down, so it hits about 5 decibels of compression, and then we put the makeup gain at 5, and you can hear the difference here. And it's a subtle touch. Next, we have OTT, which is under multi-band dynamics and OTT preset, and this is at 30%. I recommend fine-tuning this when your mix is done, or you think your mix is done, and you're done kind of setting everything else out. The more the merrier, but it also gets kind of harsh. Here, check it out with and without. As you can see, it gets to a point where it gets kind of harsh and nasty after like 50%. So somewhere between 30 and 45 seems to sound pretty good. And that brings out that presence that you need. And it sounds awesome. And it's going to be really cool because you're thinking to myself, wow, you're losing some of that cool low end. Don't worry, we're going to bring it back with a bass line. And then Decapitator, which is a Soundtoys distortion plugin. Again, you don't need fancy plugins. Just a little bit of compression. Distortion or saturation work good. I like Soundtoys because it lets me audition 5 different types of distortion in one quick unit, and as opposed to opening up a couple different ones and trying them all. But that's just me. You don't need this. Optional. But some saturation and distortion here. Little bit of reverb, not much. And then the side chain, and we're done. This is automations for other build-up type things. And we're done. Real quick on how I did the bass. It's just one of those future bass presets in Nexus for the point of just getting it done quick. And then there's a sub layer underneath it, and they're all sidechained to hell. You can use any sidechain plugin, but these are sidechained a ton. And they play the key point. The only thing I want to show you here is the key point is they should play for the most part the same notes as the chords. So when the chord hits, it should sound like one big unit. And then if you want to add funk, funkify it out or whatever you want to call it, groove it out with a layer or a lead rather, not changing the bass line, because then it sounds so fat and so big. Here's an example. On the kick, let's take that off. And without the side chaining, so you can kind of hear it really quickly. I apologize. And I also side chain my stuff a little differently, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on what layer. Cool. So that's that. That's the side chaining that you're looking for. That's the big effect you're looking for. It should fill out the whole spectrum. The pianos fill out the mids and the highs, and the bass should take the lows by storm. And all together you have this. Awesome. And a little bit more on the bass layer before I leave. It's just one of those future bass layers in Nexus filtered down for the point of the tutorial. And there's a sub layer in CRM with like a saw, a sub bass, whatever. I'm going to do a tutorial on how I do my bass lines and how I layer them like this to get them fatter another time. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys liked it. If you got something out of this, hit like and subscribe, please, and support. And we will be back soon. Any comments on what you thought, questions, feel free to answer below, and any ask below. And any suggestions as well on what I should cover in the future, let me know. Take it easy, guys.